are doing extremely well this evening. Now, where are the fans of the paranormal at? Because tonight we are doing a paranormal scary stories episode about haunted toys, and not just some porcelain dolls from over 100 years ago. No, recent haunted toys. I mean, I laugh because, some of them kind of from the 90s, which, feels recent to me, but that was like 30 years ago, so, Now, with all of that being said, and of course, as always, without any further ado, let's get into tonight's stories, shall we? Alrighty. The first toy that we're going to be discussing tonight is a haunted doll, but it's not, like I said, not some like creepy porcelain, antique doll. It's a haunted Elsa doll. So that's how recent it is. Now, in the beginning of 2020, a young couple named Emily and Matt had a truly terrifying experience at their home in Texas with a haunted Elsa doll. Now, right before Christmas of 2019, Emily and her daughter Aurelia decided to do some clearing up and get rid of some of Aurelia's toys to make room for any new ones that she'd be receiving for Christmas. Now, when Aurelia was 1, she had received a talking and singing Elsa doll as a gift, and she had thoroughly loved it for years. The doll was dirty, covered in paint and marker, and Aurelia was not really that interested in it anymore, so she agreed to get rid of it. Emily also says that over the past couple of years or so, her and Matt had noticed that it would sometimes start singing on its own, even when switched off. Now, this is one of those dolls with, she wears a necklace, and the gem of the necklace is a button, and when you press that, she either sings or recites a line from the Frozen films. Now, Matt and Emily, they just kind of figured that the batteries were probably getting dodgy and it has started short-circuiting, and that's why it sometimes spoke or sang on its own. Now, all in all, the best solution seemed to be to just toss it. Matt put the Elsa doll in a bin bag with a bunch of other rubbish and then threw it in the big bin outside, waiting to be picked up by the garbage truck. Now, the trash got picked up, the doll was gone, and the family thought nothing more of it. Until a week later, when Matt was helping Aurelia find something in the house, and he opens this big wooden bench that was in the living room. Now, to his horror, he discovers the exact same Elsa doll on top of a bunch of blankets inside the wooden bench. Now, Matt understandably starts screaming in panic, right? Which prompted Emily to come running into the room. Now, finding this doll after throwing it out obviously confused the whole family. The kids swore up and down that they hadn't Elsa doll back, especially since Aurelia had agreed to getting rid of it. So it just wouldn't make any sense. Now, after a short discussion as to who would be touching the doll to throw it out once more, Matt, once again, picked it up in a plastic bag and put it inside another bin bag. He tied it up and took it out to the curb and placed it underneath a bunch of other rubbish. Now, once again, the rubbish got picked up by the bin men and the doll was soon forgotten. But a couple of weeks later, the family had returned from holiday. Now, Aurelia was obviously keen to go and play in the backyard because she hadn't been able to for a whole 2 weeks. When after a few minutes, she came back inside and she told her mum, "Mum, I saw the Elsa doll again in the backyard." Now, Emily obviously goes and checks it out and she finds the exact same doll with the exact same markings on it in the backyard, just like her daughter had said. Now, another interesting detail is that the doll spoke and sang exclusively in English for the first 2 years of them owning it, even though it was supposed to be bilingual in Spanish and English. Then, after those 2 years, it started alternating between Spanish and English. Now, Emily says that there wasn't a button to change this, it was just random. When you press the button on the necklace, it would say or sing something in either English or Spanish. Now, when the doll started to constantly return to them, however, it spoke exclusively in Spanish and had completely stopped singing altogether. It was only repeating random lines from the Frozen films in Spanish. Now, Emily went to Facebook with her story explaining what happened and asking for help. One of the family's friends, Chris Hogan, saw the Facebook post and offered to take the doll, and he asked Emily to mail it to him. So she did. She packed the doll inside a cardboard box with no return address and sent it to Chris in Minnesota. Now, the creepy thing is that while Emily was packing the doll up, it started laughing for at least 30 seconds straight. No, absolutely not. Like, there's something about laughing and smiling that is super creepy, but then when a doll does it, absolutely not. Now, the thing you've got to keep in mind is that this was something that this doll had never done before, okay? Sure, they had heard a giggle, but it was always either before or after a sentence that it would speak, and never just laughter on its own, okay? So, the fact that this doll was laughing its head off while being boxed up for 30 seconds straight is unsettling, to say the least. Now, the doll arrived safely at Chris Hogan's house, and he has kept it ever since, keeping his Twitter followers updated about the doll's adventures. And it's actually quite funny because Chris is like a skeptic, to put it mildly. Chris doesn't believe in the paranormal, and it's really funny because he welded a cage and everything for this doll. It's really funny, takes it everywhere in his car. Now, anyways, that was the story of the haunted Elsa doll. honestly, there are two possible explanations in this case, okay? The first one is that this doll was actually haunted and kept returning to the family because, you know, it was tethered to it, right? It was refusing to let the family go, okay? Now, that is creepy enough in and of itself. I mean, how do you get rid of a doll that is spiritually tethered to your family? Apparently by sending it to your friend in Minnesota. But the other option, like the other possible explanation for this, is arguably even creepier. Like, think about it. What if this doll wasn't actually haunted, right? Now hear me out, okay? Hear me out a second. What if somebody was actually playing a prank, like some kind of sick prank on this family, digging this doll out of the trash twice, and then basically breaking into their house and trespassing onto their property to place that doll somewhere for them to find? Like, honestly, that is arguably even creepier than having a possessed doll. I don't know, what do you think? What do you think happened here? Because whichever it is, it's a massive, massive nope from me. Like, no thanks. Wow. Alrighty, the next haunted toy is Elmo. Do you remember Elmo? That cute little red monster from Sesame Street? Yeah, that one. Really annoying too at times, like. But Tickle Me Elmo, if you remember that, if you are in my kind of age range, you will probably remember that they were all the rage in the 90s. Tickle Me Elmos. They were actually quite notoriously creepy, and then the updated Elmo Knows Your Name doll doesn't seem to be any different. Honestly, the name Elmo Knows Your Name is already creepy in and of itself, and I do not understand for the life of me why they chose that name for a children's toy. Like, no, absolutely not. Now, anyways, Elmo Knows Your Name was a more modern and upgraded version of Tickle Me Elmo. You could hook it up to a computer and it could be programmed to learn the owner's name and to learn certain phrases, right? So that is exactly what Melissa Bowman did when her 2-year-old son James received the toy as a gift. Now, it's not very clear who gave it to him. It might have even been Melissa herself, but, you know, I can't find that information. But he had the toy. Now, Elmo was James's absolute favourite toy, and he played with it all the time. So after a while, the batteries in it died because, you know, they suffered quite a lot of use. And Melissa replaced them. Seems ordinary enough, right? Wrong. After changing the batteries, Elmo apparently had a new favourite sentence. The doll became a whole lot creepier when it suddenly started uttering the sentence, "Kill James," over and over and over again. Absolutely not. What the hell? Melissa was horrified when she realised what Elmo was actually saying, because you gotta keep in mind, like, he's saying, and James had even started to repeat the sentence himself. Now, Melissa had a creepy Elmo doll and a 2-year-old saying "kill James" on repeat. So naturally, Melissa tried to keep the doll as far away from her son as possible, but because it was James's favourite toy, he'd go to any lengths to get it back, even scaling countertops and cabinets. You know, that is dangerous when a 2-year-old does that, you know, so that was a problem. Now the story actually made the news, and Fisher-Price, the manufacturer of the doll, allegedly started an investigation, though we don't know the outcome of this investigation. Like, I couldn't find anything about it, so whether they actually investigated this or not, I don't know. But Melissa received a voucher to replace what they called malfunctioning doll, as if she would want another Elmo Knows Your Name doll after that. Like, come on. I mean, honestly, if the first Elmo Knows Your Name doll toy that you've owned or that your kid has owned has literally threatened to kill your 2-year-old over and over and over and over again, to the point where said 2-year-old is repeating that sentence, I mean, that Elmo wouldn't set foot in my house anymore, like ever again. There is no way. That's always such a lousy solution when, like, come on, this doll malfunctions, right, and is uttering literal death threats, okay? So the manufacturer is like, that's odd. We're gonna start an investigation, and here is a voucher to buy a new one. Come on. Come on. Use your brain a little, you know? Wow. No, I think that is an absolutely lousy solution to the problem. Let's hope James isn't scarred for life after this. But you know, it is, you gotta be honest, like, it is a weird way to malfunction, right? It's not like, you know, he wasn't speaking anymore, or like the audio was lagging or something. No, this doll, the malfunction that it had was uttering death threats. Like, that is not normal. That's not a common malfunction. Like, this is such a weird story, I can't even. Which is probably why it made the news. Dolls don't usually make the news. Alrighty, so the last toy that I want to tell you something about are Furbies. Furbies first came out, I think, in like the early 90s. I think I had one in the late 90s from like the first generation, because I know that Furbies are still a thing, but they've completely modernized them, and it wouldn't surprise me if the new version that comes out of the Furby in the future is gonna have like artificial intelligence in it or something. But I had an OG Furby, and let me tell you, that thing was hella creepy. Now, Furbies are notoriously creepy and haunted. I mean, you is some experiences that people have had with Furbies. So I've got just a few quick stories for you about Furbies. Me and my little brother once got 2 Furbies for Christmas. They were kind of cute until one of them suddenly swapped personalities into a disgusting, drunk, middle-aged man who would burp, fart, and make weird comments in a really strange voice. And we spent hours trying to get it to switch back. Me and my brother referred to this as going rogue. Both of our Furbies went rogue several times after that, and every time it happened, we'd run away in terror, screaming, "It's happening again, Furby is going rogue." Now, the thing with these Furbies, if I remember correctly, is that when you bought them, they spoke barely any English, right? They spoke some kind of gibberish called Furbish, right? And they would mostly make noises, and you could press their tongue, and then they would make eating noises and stuff like that, if I remember rightly. And then after a while they could learn more English phrases and words. But I've never witnessed a Furby completely change personality. I know they could make sounds like farting and burping. I know that was a thing. But I read so many instances of people's Furbies, their voices changing into a very deep voice, which is something I've never witnessed firsthand. But it sounds absolutely terrifying. Let's all remember that these are children's toys and that these stories are incredibly common, okay? Next one. I don't know what the hell was wrong with my Furby. It told us its name was Coco, but sometimes referred to itself as Yokonuma. It would always request to play hide and seek. It didn't consider itself hidden unless it was somewhere dark, but apparently this Furby was also afraid of the dark and would let out a horrible wailing noise until you took it out of its hiding spot. It did this if you covered its sensor to try to make it go to sleep too. Just screamed. Yeah, so I really do not remember that a Furby could tell you its name. I mean, I'm talking, this was 25 years ago or something that I owned a Furby. But I really don't remember what the name of it was, or that it could actually tell you. But it's so funny that it told this Redditor that its name was Coco, but sometimes referred to itself as Yokonuma. That is so random. What if there's spyware in it or something? This is mental to me. Right, moving on. A friend bought me a Furby as a joke while we were stationed in Germany. The one she got me was red and black and honestly evil looking. Well, fast forward a couple weeks after losing interest in the thing, I'm sleeping and I suddenly hear this demonic, gravelly voice come from my bookshelf. Not the sound of batteries running out, but a seriously demonic voice. I jump up and turn on the lights and I search for the sound. I hear it coming from the top shelf, and when I look, nothing is there. So "Hello, son. I missed you." I immediately took it out of the burn pit and cleansed it with fire. It screamed as it burned. I can still hear those screams 10 years later. See, this is what I mean, like, the voice inexplicably changes and becomes really deep, and then the things it comes out with as well. "Hello, son. I missed you." What kind of creepy shit is that? Let's all remember that these are kids' toys. They are meant for kids to play with. Like, how would that not terrify a child? Come on. Alrighty. So, when I was about, let's say, 7 or 8, I had 2 Furbies. A mum Furby and a baby Furby. Honestly, I did not know that was a thing. Like I said, I had the OG Furby, so back in my day, it was just the Furby. That was it, no extras, no weird electronic, like, little screens for eyes, no babies, nothing. Now one day, my older brothers were f***ing around with the baby Furby, throwing it up in the air over and over and over again, until one of them eventually drops it. It ended up making some weird noises, closing its eyes and never turning back on. Now, the mum Furby apparently hears this or like senses this, I don't know, but she makes the exact same noises and then proceeds to die off as well. The mum Furby died of apparent sadness over the death of her child. I changed the batteries in both numerous times and they never came back to life. Anywho, Furbies have been a slightly traumatic experience for me. So what, these Furbies are like telepathically connected to each other or what? Like, honestly, I firmly believe that either Furbies are the preferred host for tiny demons, right? Or the person who invented and designed Furbies just had a very sick sense of humor, because the amount of creepy and sometimes even dramatic experiences with Furbies that you can find online is ridiculous, just plain ridiculous. Now, I've been saying to you quite a lot, actually, I'm sorry about that I used to own a Furby. And what do you reckon? I have a scary story of my own about my Furby. So, like I said, I owned this Furby in the late 90s when I was a small child. wake my parents up. Don't get me wrong, I was definitely terrified of this thing, right? But I was considerably more terrified of my parents being angry at me because I woke them up. So I, being the brave 6-year-old that I was, picked up this Furby, went all the way downstairs, took it all the way outside, and threw it in the big bin outside. And that was the last I ever saw of my blue OG Furby. Luckily, it did not return to me like Elsa did for Emily and Matt. Alright, you guys, that was it for tonight's scary stories. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you guys so much for choosing to hang out with me again tonight. If you liked this video and you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel, liking this video, and leaving a comment down below. It really helps, plus I really enjoy reading you guys' comments anyway. Now, I will hopefully see you again for next week's video. For now though, all there is left for me to do is to wish you a very good night. Sleep well, sleep well, sleep well, sleep well, sleep well. Good night, 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 good night. Bye-bye. Sweet